Good evening, everybody. How are we? Are you good? I am very sorry. I'm a few minutes late. Oh, turn my volume down. Quick. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. There are so many steps to getting ready for a show, and if you spread them over the day, invariably you forget one at the last minute, which was to set up the software for it. So I had to do that, and I've been debating over which windows to leave open based on chickens, airflow, so hot, airflow, and I've the options were in the end leave one open and there's a big roll of fabric against the blind so it doesn't bang there, shut that one and ask Rob very kindly to take the girls outside for a while to keep them happy. So that's what we've done, and hopefully I'll get through without breaking out in too much of a muck sweat. Good evening, Yvonne. Good evening, Liz. I saw your note. Fiona, she's had a huntsman crawling up my arm. And there is now one less huntsman in the world. I have many friends that are very much a believer in letting them live, and I am kind of one of those, but if they're in my house, it's just that split second they gotta go. You know, if you can think about it for a while, that's all very well and lovely, and you get the glass and the paper, and yet no. My first experience, Fiona, was at 100 k's down the road from home in Healesville, and I had that classic down over the sun visor. That was my near-death experience. Good evening, Leanne. Sylvia, good evening to you. Oh, I bet it's hot up where you are. I bet it's hot in New Merca tonight. Good evening, Bernadette. Got your emailed back. Very exciting. Janet, good evening to you. Yvonne, good evening. Jackie, hi. I talked to Jackie today. Oh, I don't like this bit where I think conversations. Yes, Jackie, and those that have ordered pincushion kit via email, when you see it go up on the website, which I will do over the weekend, I'm just still waiting for the thread stock to arrive, which will come Monday. Please don't worry about ordering one. I already have your orders under control. So for those that have contacted me directly, all good. Good evening, Karen DeWilt. How are you? Let's show champagne. There's champagne. I didn't get the memo. Good evening, gorgeous Jenny Miller. Hello, Francis. Yes. Which is red? What's red, Diane? What is red, Diana? Me? Yes, I'm very red this evening, yet I still blend in with Jill Cross's cook behind me, don't I? Yes, very red. Lippy's very red. Like a lot of red in Costa Rica. No jokes for now. Kathy, good evening. Got your fabric organised. Marge, good evening and welcome. Good to see you. Marie Evans, hi. Fiancis Brandes is hit. I'm just so excited because I'm actually seeing names. Hi Karen, I'm seeing names of people that I know come to soirees. I'm very happy because I managed to get the try booking up and going today, and there are orders coming in. Michelle Fisher, 3 o'clock this morning. Sorry everyone, I found your message and I've just remembered, and I fell asleep again and didn't reply. Thank you so much. I will go back and read it again later. Please don't think I've ignored you. It's in one of those messenger pocket things, and I'd missed the whole thing, but I'm very glad to hear from you because you were off the planet. You'd gone. You'd AWOL. We had people asking about you. Bronwyn, good evening. Kristen, good evening. Chris is here too. It is a bit warm. Fiona is very brave. Marie, you're right. Diane, good evening. I need to email you and check you're okay still. Maria, good evening. Your order went out today. Good evening, Jimmy. Kathleen, thank you very much. You know what for. I received it yesterday. Haven't emailed you yet. Thank you. Pauline Parker, good evening. Marie Noel's here. No to I am one of my... Oh, no, spider stories. No more. Well, Catherine, how are we in Chandler's Cottage today? We're okay, I think. You know me, I go at 100 miles an hour and then I stop dead and sleep for 8 hours. That's just the way I work, and I'm not very functional when I don't sleep, so this heat does get to me. But look, we're pretty good. It's a very interesting month because we don't have the structure of events or leading up to events or workshops yet, or teaching yet, or when we're just getting back into that structure now. So the whole January, February thing, sort of all the preparation. I have a couple of things here that are going to scare you all to show you in regards to planning ahead. Diane Ross, good evening. Jill's here too. Oh, see, Jack, I bet it's hot in Wagga. I've done Wagga. Diane, yes, garden needs water. I don't have that much now. I had a big vegetable garden last year, and then you know what happened. 3 little girls arrived. Lunar man landscape out the back where I haven't fenced. But the old pot plants need a little bit of love at the moment. Petra, good evening. Your order's on the way. Got your message, emailed you back. Judy, good evening. How are you? Judy, see, through that whole busy bit, I then found your email with your drop dead gorgeous chair and lounge room where you put your cushion, and I haven't replied to it. I keep looking at it and I haven't done it yet, though I do apologise. Christine, good evening in Brizzy. I hope you're really well. Irene's here. They eat everything else in your house. So I'm reading Marie's note. When Stephen used to go to, when he was below the table level, Steve did 2 days a week family daycare while I was still working in the food world as the food scientist. So he was 2 days a week in family daycare with the gorgeous Penny, who I still see every now and then. And she had a pet huntsman, and he lived behind a painting. So Steve never had a fear of huntsmen because he hung out with a huntsman, and he would come out and eat bugs and flies and things and go back in. And she had all of this generation of children that were not scared of spiders. I saw Louise's here, I saw Dell's here, I saw Karen's here, Elizabeth's here. Oh, okay, team's in the building. The whole team is here. Grandy's here as well. Michelle's here. Oh my goodness. Great, Jimmy. I'm very pleased to hear that. There's nothing like making something and it being very well appreciated. Denise has just finished her first project from the calendar. Well, we're going to have a quick look at that tonight. We are. Bobby, Sandy, Lynn, Glenda. Now, is it your order or the other Glenda? I've done two. I've done 2 to my 2 Glendas this week, I'm sure. Karen, good evening. Andrea, oh, Buddy Chumpel, where have you been? It's been ages. No. Doggy's eating strawberries. No, you worry about the birds, not the dogs. We had a blue heeler called Ralph that used to take the hazelnuts off the tree, crack the shells in his mouth, spit the shell out and eat the hazelnuts. That one didn't go down too well with my mum either. Lynn, Christine, Heather. What have I got for you? Did I do an order for you today? I did, didn't I? I'm sure I did. Okay, so that explains what it's like here, Catherine. It's a madhouse. No Steve today. Steve's moving house at the moment and working at his other job. I don't know, 2 jobs and a uni degree. I know, but he was at, Steve works at Macpac, so he's a Macpacker man this weekend. So I did the orders today, got all those done, kind of got ready for tonight, and a lot of paperwork this week. Fans, the Melbourne fan shipment arrives onto the docks here in Melbourne 27th, so what's that? That's next Friday. So leading up to that, there's a lot of paperwork that goes on. It doesn't matter if it's a big shipment or a small one. All of the customs clearance, my freight broker, chatting with the shipping company in Japan, chatting with the factory, chatting with the fabric agent in LA, going round and round in circles, making sure all the paperwork is perfect. And we, if we did it every week, we'd probably get really good at it. But because as a virtual team, we don't do it, we probably do it about 5-6 times a year. It just doesn't, it's not like riding a bike. So a lot of that's been going on, but I'm very excited about them arriving, and I will have next week, when we do our show next week, when it's that close, I will pop them up live. We'll do a couple of projects. We'll talk about what the new periwinkle colour goes with, plus we've got green back in stock, and also the ivory cream back in stock, and they go really well together. So I'm working on a few things for us to play with. Now, just before we get going on demo stuff tonight, because that's what tonight's all about, is doing a whole heap of talking about stashes, I did come back with the Hebrew remnants from Mum's yesterday, so we'll talk about what I've done with those and what we're going to do with those. So I want to talk about just the first couple of little things to bust your stash, and how we can, just work with them. But just before we do that, show and tell. So I wanted to show you this because it's been a busy week, and for those that are in a quilter's life, you may not have seen this yet, but I did put this up. I've been really flat out with that. I'm on the vase at the moment. I just wanted to show this to you, but also to show it to everyone that's not in the club. So come on, we need to show off our stuff that we do in a quilter's life. So I just wanted to show you as an example, if you're wondering what happens in a quilter's life, this is one of the things that happens. So this is the iris block from Madame Butterfly, and I've popped up the instructions for this week, and if you are in the mail order club for Madame Butterfly, this has gone out in the mail to you today as well. So, and I just thought this was a really good one to show you, because even though it's applique, and I know quite a few in the club are using, because Oriental Baltimore runs through the club as well, the patterns are included, a lot are using up their stash of Oriental prints and batiks and things for Madame Butterfly as well, which is fantastic, or for the mainly for the Oriental Baltimore. So I'll show you. And what I mean about it, see how I've got these just little bits of reds, and you could use all different shades. And these pieces here for the center, these are actually fussy cut from my feature fabric that I'm using for my geisha. But this block as a standalone would be really lovely to do with your scraps, and maybe have 3 panels of them together, so they don't even have to make up that's giving away what that is. You don't even have to make up the whole quilt, just to have a row of these together, 3 or 5, and do different colored irises, perhaps on 3 or 4 different greens, would be a lovely little project, and a way of just using up all those little teeny weeny bits that you've got. These little butterflies here, these are fussy cut from the butterfly fabric. We've all got a little bit of butterfly fabric. Some are in the stash. So I wanted to show you that. And if you're in the club as well, the ginger urn, perfect way to use up a slightly larger piece. So your ginger pot urn that we did, I think, back at the start, fantastic block to use. I think we talked about it at the time. Fantastic block to use for all those beautiful smaller pieces of feature florals and prints and things that you might actually want to use up. Christine Godon, Denise is here. Mark French, hello. Oh, see, I love this. Oh, Kayla Leaves here. Good evening, gorgeous. What I really like is you all now talk to each other. Got my own little community going on, and I do love it. I love it, I love it. And speaking of communities, how long did I go? Oh, nearly 20 minutes without mentioning the soirees. Needleworker soirees are now up on trybooking.com for you to book and come. Little bit freaky today. I mean, we've put them up early, not until May and July. We've put them up early so that you can book your tickets now if you wish. One of our motivations for doing that is because the 3 of us, Karen, Margaret and myself, have a lot of travel this year and a lot of other things on. So we wanted to get them up early, not to get them, I don't know, not because we're worried about selling it or whatever like that, but when I'm going away in March, and Karen leaves in a couple of weeks and she's back a week and a half before the first soiree, Marg's away in March as well, I really wanted to put it up there and open up the conversation about the soirees, so that all of those inquiries I get by emails straight to me or through trybooking.com, I can sort of look after everyone that wants to know more about it that hasn't been before we all chuff off. We can all answer emails and things when we're away, but not as fast as response as we can do if I'm actually sitting here in my office. So we put them up today. all four days on the first day are already 25% sold out. We've already sold 25%. A quarter of the tickets have gone. So that is hilarious, and you're all hilarious. You included Bernadette. The girls from Nagambia are all booked as well, Bernie, for the one up there. So it's all on, and I love it because everyone's I can see everyone having conversations. I know Fiona and Sylvia and the girls. Everyone's kind of getting organised already, so that's lovely. But it's, yeah, we just want to be super organised and put on the best events this year. Me, autumn, can't wait. Got my tables planned, got my projects planned, so I'll actually be sharing them, probably the first one with you late next week, or maybe even two. It would have been. I need something special for my second project for the autumn one, and it was in a box coming from a distributor in the US because I can only get it there, and I got a new guy in dispatch, and somehow he sent my box to New Zealand, to a shop in New Zealand. So that was an interesting conversation at 4 o'clock this morning, how they were going to deal with that. And I said, I don't care about the fabric as long as I get my special ingredient I need for my soiree project. So, and then the shop in New Zealand, they really liked my fabrics and they didn't really want to give them back. I don't blame them, they're gorgeous. They're the rest of our Oriental ones for our Oriental show coming up. So I'll have at least one to show you next week, at least. But anyway, bookings are open. You will see they are $10 more than last year. And I know you're going, oh, they put the price up. Yeah, we had to. The hall at Garfield has increased in price because it's changing over from volunteer to council run. So the fees have gone up. And the fee, we didn't do, you can imagine, we didn't do Nagambie right. We didn't allow for our travel and accommodation costs and all of that going country. So it's only $10 more. I'll just put extra cake on the plates. There'll just be more cake. Is that okay? That'll be okay, won't it? So I'm really excited. Oh, what did I miss? Birds, I haven't heard of the place. Sorry, who's coming to Birmingham? Deb, you're either watching Elton John. What are you doing? Watching Elton John. Oh, you're funny. You're so funny. All right. Oh, so hang on. So everyone's coming to Birmingham because people live close to Birmingham. Is that what's happening? I'm there. Karen's there. Margaret's there. You might as well come. Get on the plane. All right. The other thing, I just wanted to show you how serious I am about a new, well, this year's super improved, it's improving, development, quantum leap, super duper, Chandler's Adventure. So I'm not going to call it an advent calendar this year because we will have a wall calendar again for 2024, and we will have an advent box adventure, whatever we're going to call it. Jury's still out on that. But I wanted to show you how serious we are about making it extra special, because they will start up and we will be doing orders and everything much earlier in the year. So in this, beautiful January, Feb design plan stage, we have started already getting ready for the Advent. Oh, I know, but look, I had to show and tell. This will be the envelope for this year's Advents. Isn't it pretty? So that's it. So December 1, envelopes. Not this one. Rob won't like me showing this one because he was still centering the graphics in the envelope. But we are very serious about making an amazing Advent for this year. So cocky. That's my Advent for this year. So that is what they're going to look like. So quite different to last year's. And as I said, I'm very, very excited about doing that. All right, this is what we're going to do this evening. So I've got the pattern here. This is one of the things we're doing. I've got the pattern here with no picture on it. And I'm actually going to start making the sample that we finish this week that goes in the picture, and then the pattern will be ready to go. So I'll be popping this up as a digital download about Monday, Tuesday. I'm going to say this though now, it is two things. It's a really easy concept, so I think a lot of you might want to buy the pattern. Not sure, it's up to you. It's very easy to do. You can buy the pattern next week, but I think if you follow along tonight, you won't need to, but if you're in a quilter's life, don't worry about it because the pattern's going up in there as well for you anyway. So this is what we are going to do. I've just printed it out. This was what was on the header of my post today. So this is a little cushion. When I say a cushion, it's actually a pillow cushion. So it's actually set up, you can fit a pillow inside. So if you've got a spare pillow in the guest room or something, you can think about using that while it's not in use. Alright, so you can see here, I know, someone commented today, was it Jack, someone picked up, check the mug, will you? Now this is actually a photo that was taken quite a long time ago when I was still designing for Robert Kaufman, and under my license agreement I designed patterns for them to use at the trade show. So this one was actually made and then scooted off to the States, probably with me for market, which happened before festival each year. And I have no idea where I got that mug from. I have no idea where that mug has gone. But how cool is that mug with the cushion? Anyway. And this, I think this book here, I think it's a Lego book. I'm pretty sure it's a Lego block. I don't know if it, where's my glasses? Oh no, there's no glasses. It's alright, when Rob comes back in with the girls, I'll get him to grab some. I think, I don't know if it's a Lego or a Kona fabric book, I'm not sure. Anyway, so I'm going to, Melissa, you're so funny. I'm going to make this up again, but I'm not going to use solids tonight. You can, but I'm actually going to use 3 of Mum's creative stash packs. Because it would be wrong of me to cut fabric off a bolt when we're supposed to be using our stash. And I personally don't have, actually I do have a stash, but it's all designated to quilts. I don't have that stash of fabric that doesn't have a purpose. All of mine, from making samples or end of rolls or bolts or pre-cuts or anything, end up in Mum's, in Pam's creative packs. So I'm going to use 3 of those. Now with Mum's, I keep saying Mum's, I should say Pam's, with Pam's packs, when I packed them up yesterday, I realised that I could actually, for once, I don't know how long it will last, I could actually do some little subcategories for you of colours. So that's what I've done tonight. You'll see under tonight's banner that there's little different titles to them. When you click on tonight's banner, and it says Stash Buster Show or whatever, #1, it'll say underneath Asta and Poppy Show when you go in. I bet some of you have already seen it and you're going to go, she hasn't updated it. I don't know how to. It was a phenomenal leap for me to even change the banner. Stephen's changed the app. I have no idea. So on his list for Monday is to write the instructions on how to change the banner details. So I changed the banner but not the subtitle underneath. But everything's under that top one tonight. Everything's also still under the word Asta, as in the flower Asta, and that block's still up there if you still haven't grabbed your Oriental Baltimore block. Okay, there's a couple, so you'll see there's a couple of purple, there's only a couple of, I think there's about 4 purple lovers ones. There is a blue, there's a true blue category. So it just means tonight that if you order a blue, you know that the majority of the pack is going to have blue. There's also teal. I called it something fancy schmancy. I can't remember now. Teal Trends or something like that. Ruthie's here from WA. Hello, gorgeous. Are you good? Is it hot over there? I don't know. I haven't spoken. Look, I feel like saying haven't spoken to my sister-in-law for a while, and I wouldn't know if it's hot. But I know the weather changes every 5 minutes, so it doesn't make sense. But I shouldn't I? Because you're not that far from Dalkeith, are you, Ruth? Probably not. Hello, Donna. Welcome, welcome. How are you? You good? How are things in the UK? Cold. All right, so in Teal Trends, you've sort of got these colours going on. Okay, so they're all that cool tealy blue. And then there is Pink and Bling. Now I put Pink and Bling because they've got a little bit of the black Melba and things in them as well. So I keep looking at the screen to check you can see. So a lot of these have got Melba in them. So there's a little bit of pink, and the bling is there because they've all got metallic in them. And then I've put up one, sorry about the noise. I've put up one called, it's a miracle they stay there, those baskets. I haven't worked out how or why it works, but we just run with it. These are all, so I've got two baskets full, and I've called them summer autumn because, oh, that's not the right one, that one, because there's a lot of under the Australian sun in here. But if I sort of do this for you, you'll see what I mean. There are all the reds, the greens, there's gold, predominantly gold packs. So they sort of all look like this. So what I would do, or what I usually do, if you ordered 2 or 3 or whatever from this particular group, we make sure that the packs are significantly all different. So unless you tell me otherwise, Lisa, I want 3 that kind of look the same. But I would go through and choose 3 that have got orange and green, and then that one's like this, that have got big chunks of beautiful tonal gold in. So I'd sort of make sure that all of the packs are really different, unless you wanted packs all the same. All right? So, does it go back? Charles, it goes back. I'm feeling quite mobile this evening. I've been to the chiropractor. I'm very overdue trip to the chiropractor. So, so there's all of those are up. Now, Rob's, as I set out with the girls, Ginny and the 3 chooks, for their evening stroll in the park. And he'll be tonight and tomorrow popping up all of the remnants that I got ready today. So I'm talking about yardage ones. So as I said, there's quite a few and they're not up yet. So please be assured that we'll combine orders, and I won't be sending out orders until next week. Next show is going to be Wednesday evening. So if you would like me to hold over until Wednesday's show, just let me know. Otherwise, we'll be sending out about Monday. But we'll pop them up over the weekend. If you order a couple of things, you know, tonight, and then you come back and see a couple of other things tomorrow, that's perfectly fine. We can do it. All right. First thing, let's talk calendar first. So this is this. That's handsome. He's back. Glasses. All right. So this is this. So this is January. I wonder how many of you made the cake. Love the top matching the background. Good evening. Miss Kirsten is here. Oh, I have exciting news. Oh, Kirsten, I didn't warn you. I'm not very good at keeping secrets. I may have already blabbed. I don't remember. Maybe in A Quilter's Life. I don't remember. Kirsten and I are doing things together this year from All Things Thermy. Oh, Yvonne's back. Joe Landau, how are you this evening? I have to talk to you about your double-sided foam. I'll give you a buzz tomorrow. This January one, I don't know if you've made the cake or not yet. Is passion fruit in? I don't even know if passion fruit's in yet because I don't have a vine anymore. Anyway, if you have your calendar, please be assured you can mess with that. It doesn't have to be passion fruit. You could go for a berry instead, or mango. Absolutely. And you can buy, like you could put a berry syrup over the top, or, I mean, I would have used tin passion fruit to make that because they were out of season. So very, very nice with some cold ice cream or yogurt. Okay, so there's the cake, it's in there, and we need the crazy patchwork pin cushion. Now, when you get to there and you'll go, where's the diagram? Well, because of this, just because of the layout of everything, the diagram will tell you that it is next to the studio basket, and the studio basket is here. Just because of space. So when we have a space, we pop this diagram down here for you. So with this size as it is, yes, of course, you could make up a whole heap of these as presents. I mean, I would literally start now. I mean, you know I'm working on the advent now, so you could start as well. So these don't necessarily have to be a pin cushion either. You could make these with all your leftover little bits and pieces of Christmas fabrics, little bits of silk. The pieces are small enough. If you've got a beautiful satin ribbon or a braid that you want to use up, that could replace your fabric. So these hanging would make a gorgeous Christmas decoration. So you could start now. Make one. I want you to make this for yourself first, please. Make one for yourself and then start making some others. Be gorgeous. Now this, I just wanted to talk about as well this particular diagram here. So in here I have suggested that you can do it with paper, but what I'm finding works really well as well for these pieces is to use freezer paper. So you want the Reynolds one, so the one that's made in the US that's quite thick. This is really, really good. So the reason that I'm loving, you can tell that I've had another play with this, the reason I love the freezer paper, let me just chop a bit of this off. You know the rules, don't tell Steve, because when we get to the end of the roll and the stock level's out, it wasn't me. Okay, let me just chop through here. Okay. Oh, yeah, so freezer paper, it's kind of thicker. You can see how shiny it is. I do think that Tearaway stabilizes too thin. I just wanted to say that in case you had a go. I have too thin. So just normal paper is going to be fine as a one-off use if you're happy to adhere your little pieces onto your wedges. But this is brilliant. So just a small piece and you can actually trace the whole square on with all its little lines in it, then cut them all out, and then you have all of your bits ready to stick onto the back of your fabric pieces with a dry iron, and they're going to stick temporarily and adhere. So if you do that and then tack them on and do all your paper piecing, you'll be able to steam iron it when you're finished and take the paper out. When we use the Epiplex ones and everything, we all love to talk about how great they are and you can reuse them and that's all wonderful. But honestly, for these little shapes, freezer paper's super cheap. I think it's $3 a metre. You're only going to use one little square of it and you're going to get a truckload out of half a metre or a metre. So I would be one hit wonder using the whole thing. So I just want to trace off one. Let me just get this on. And also all of your little leftover bits of oriental fabrics and things like that are just going to be brilliant to use. And of course, if you are happy just to work with paper, don't you know, like me, I always forget the obvious. Don't forget the obvious. Stick it on the photocopier. Just stick it on the photocopier. Print out a whole heap of them in paper. Just use them. If you're doing paper, photocopy. Alright, and you can see that? I don't know if you can. See that there? I haven't drawn the whole lines, I've just drawn the dots because literally I can join dot to dot. Like that. I know what you're saying, it's a dash not a dot. I know it wasn't very accurate, but it's just for the demo. You see that? Look at that bruise. Sometimes I hit myself. Do you do the same? And I feel like getting a pen and writing on here what it was, because you come back later and you go, how did I do that? I don't remember. I just always do that all the time. Got a whopper on my thigh at the moment. No idea. Don't remember at all. Okay, so I've got one bit. So all your little bits and pieces, teeny weeny little bits, really go silly and do lots of gorgeous little crazy patchwork things with them. That's one option. Your other option. This is one of the, Rob's putting the rest of this up tonight. So after our big Boxing Day sale where we just had fabrics left that were only, you know, between 1 and 3 meters, we've taken them off the bolts and they're going up as one hit wonder remnants. Just think about this as well. I'm just trying to get your mindset around. If you've got a fabric in the cupboard like this that you've had in the cupboard forever and you have no idea what you're still going to do with it. So it's not going to be a bag, it's not going in a quilt, you're not going to make a jacket, you know, don't want cushions made out of it. I would personally love cushions made out of this. If you've got a piece like that, even if it's a fat quarter, don't discount the thought of cutting one piece from here, one piece from here, one piece from here, one piece from here. Make a whole heap of them off that one bit of fabric, and then you can treat each of the flowers or the leaves or the different parts of the design as separate fabrics. So, and I know a lot of us have got those prints. The panel, we all have the panel, and we don't have anything to go with it. We've talked about the red rooster panels before, Anna Fiskin's pink red, that you buy the panel and you can't find anything else to go with it if the rest of the range is sold out. Those sorts of things need to leave the stash this year. So just keep them in mind as we go through everything. Don't treat them as a whole. Treat them as lots and lots and lots of little different bits of fabric that you can use. All right, I'll pull out. So Mum will have a fit. She'll go, what are you using my packs for? They're for the girls. I know what she's going to say. I've grabbed 3 of Mum's packs tonight to make my cushion, and I'm going to keep these because we've got more things to do over the next couple of weeks. So when I pull out what I used tonight, they're going to go in a little box, and I will come back and keep using these packs till I've used them all up, just to be good and prove a point that we can. So I'm just going to pull out one little bit. Oh, I think it's left over from the Soiree project, to be honest. What, who's just got here? Cindy! Happy New Year to you! Oh, Petra, you're a born comedian. I'm an invisible person who keeps pushing me into the pantry door on purpose. Oh, did you? Oh, I machine paper pieced mine. Oh, you go, Leanne. That is the thing. I'm going to do a little bit more watching of demos on that, and then we might do a little bit on Facebook. You go, girl. I've seen this done. Have you all seen it? You need to do a little bit of research. Machine paper piecing. I've seen a lot of hexagons done, but I haven't seen crazy. You might need to send us a photo, Leanne, so I can show everyone. That's cool. I'm very, very impressed. Alright, I'll pop the iron on for a tick. So we'll iron this on just to show you how great it is. Now, once you've done this size, you might get that little bit of a hankering to do the old-fashioned kind of stack and whack, or a larger one yourself, okay? Just while the iron's heating up, I've got my graph paper out. I'm very impressed. There's a lot of elephant stamps that were given out after we talked about the graph paper the other week. And I'm very, very impressed. A lot of people grabbed it because they could see they were going to use it for designing, and that made me feel all being silly and gushy and over the top, all warm and fuzzy inside. This one in our book, yep, 4.5 finished. So if you wanted to do your own larger one, which you could piece by machine, they're really, really easy to draw up and design yourself. Okay, so I'm drawing up an 8-inch. Oh, class list. Oh, I've just remembered another thing about designing yourself. Class list for Shepherd and Sewing Centre in June is out, and I'll be up there teaching. We're going to design our own cascading quilts with those leaves that I did, like the one I had at North of the Yarra Quilters. And you're going to be designing your own with saucers, plates and cups, teacups. So the class list is out, so if you wanted to find out more about class fees and everything, give the girls a call at Shepherd and Sewing Centre. I can't believe I've just given myself my own plug for teaching somewhere. How many years since I've got to do that? Oh, can't wait. And I may or may not be popping into the Mechanics Institute Hall at Nagambie on the way to see Erica and the team about Soiree stuff. Yeah, it works well, doesn't it? Because I'm there about a month before. See how good that iron's on? Straight iron, and see, it's on. So that just makes your life so much easier. If you were doing Christmas decorations, would you really take the paper out? You probably wouldn't, would you? There'd be no need to. You'd leave it in to give it a little bit more body. So you'd most likely do the whole iron and glue, or at least glue over with your glue stick, your seam allowances, so that they're there, and then you just got to whip stitch them, or like Leanne, have a look and do them by machine. Oh, I do not want that seam on. Let's turn that off for a tick. Oh, my bad. Please remember when you do this, I didn't see which piece, that would I get number 1? With, leave your, so you don't need to tack over your 2 sides that are going to be on the outer edge. Now, I was just showing you for the sake of showing you how it goes over, but do remember that, won't you? That you don't need to tack the 2 sides over that are going to be on the edge of your pin cushion, because they will go into the seam with the back. Okay, so super easy to pre-shape, okay, and that is firm enough to be whip stitching the next one too. In fact, it's enough. If you're going to do a truckload of these, you really don't want it any firmer than that, so it doesn't get too hard on your knuckles and your fingers. Okay, so freezer papers would go if you like the idea of sticking it down first. If you're fine with glue and pins, stick that calendar on your photocopier and reel a whole heap of them off and get going, and use teeny weeny little scraps up, ribbons up, or that big bit of fabric that you're not going to use. Okay, back to the big version. Now, this doesn't need to be as complicated as a little crazy pin cushion, and what you really want to do is set yourself up so that you can easily piece by machine if you want to. Good evening, Angela. How are things in Bright this evening? Alright, Georgie, good evening. Nayad, good evening to you. Oh, Sylvia's booked. Excellent. Wouldn't be a party without Sylvia at Nagambie, honestly, it wouldn't. And Fiona, and the girls, Jocelyn and the girls, oh, it would be great. What I would love you to think about is how you want to get this to work for you to create a bigger one that you can machine piece. So for me, that would almost be that I don't end up with any partial seams. And so that if you want to copy what I'm doing, I'm going to tell you what I'm marking at. So this is 8 long. I'm going to mark in the middle, and I'm not going to mark in the middle on the other side, or otherwise it's just a boring straight normal triangle. So what we'll do is we'll take it up to there. So this is at 3. So I've marked this at 4 and this at 3 going down this side. So we'll join those up together. Paper's great to start with these days because we can't get our hands on the Imperial template plastic anymore. If you've got some, that would be great, because then you're making your template at the same time. I love drawing up first because I make a lot of boo-boos. Right, so can you see with this, you can sort of get a feel that that would go on last because it's out on that corner. So let's go again. So let's, where we go? If I come down anywhere sort of halfway along this line that we drew, and we'll come across here and we'll come down 5. So that's at 5. And just draw this in. Anywhere along here is going to be fine. Okay, so then that breaks that up. We've got 3 bits. I would like to think that there's a lot more going on in this big chunk. If you've got big pieces that you're using or big prints, this is going to be fine. But I like the idea of breaking this up. So if we come across here, this is 2. Come across to about there, and we'll put another line up there, up to 3 on the top. So, I mean, we all did this in primary school. We all did it, and the teacher got us to draw it all up, and then we'd sit with the colouring pencils and colour it all in. Alright, so what we can still see is that we've got this bit here that may go on last. It's you know, because it's got other bits joining to it, and we can see that we've now really split this down. So we've got this piece here that's made up of 2 bits, and now we're down to this bit here. So it is really, I mean, I'm just drawing on for the sake of it. I go down from about there, that's 1 there, and that's 3 across from the edge. So I'm just playing. Right, so that's all good. And what do you reckon? We'll go across about here. So I'm going to be able to have sort of a big feature focal point in here if I want to. If I went to, what happens if I go to there? Does it make it any harder? It does not. There you go. I could keep going. I could split this up. 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 I could make it as complicated or as simple as I wanted to, and you can keep adding to that. So as I just did it then, I was just making sure as I went that I didn't end up with little teeny weeny wedges that are going to make my life difficult. There's a couple of interesting ones in the pin cushion, but it's fine because they're only little. So if you have a look at this now, we've effectively got 3 different sections to work with. So we would piece these two, let's call them A. You piece these two together first, and then we'd piece these two. This is, you know, I love this fun bit when it comes to working out them in order. So this would be a pair, this would be a pair, and then we'd add on C to B's. So these two and add that on, and then we could add this whole section here onto these pre-pieced A pieces, and then finally, as we thought, we'd add that one up the top. Now it's going to work out different every time that you do it and have a play, but you can easily do your own. From here, I would go back and I'd make a template of all of them as they are. I mean, we're only working in small bits, and there's going to be a lot of fussy cutting going on. And also for me, with all those little angles, I love the idea of having the seam allowance drawn on, so I've got that drawn seam line on my machine. And more importantly with that too, because you know how hard it is sometimes when you get up into these little corners just to try and work out where the seam allowance starts and finishes. So I love the idea of having draw them on as the actual size, and then getting my little ruler and adding my 1/4 inch around the outside. At this size as well, anything up to about 8 I think is fine to do. It's really comfortable to do by hand, but it's also super quick to go by machine. If you take it right up to 12, it's going to get a little bit boring if you leave the pieces this size, if you go to 12 inches. So one, add more in, add a lot more detail in if you want to do them by hand, or at 12, whip them up on the machine. If you want to go smaller, you're going to come down to things that are like our one that's in the calendar, and at that size, hand's going to be great. Machine a little bit fiddly, perfect to do with paper piecing. So lots and lots of options, but you know, when you get to packs like this, you know, we've got lots and lots of different pieces in. I do love this because now I can look at a pack like this and go, okay, which bits are too big or too small to use for different areas. And then if I had, I'm just going to harp on, actually I won't harp on that bit, let's pull a bit of me out. Get a little bit of UTAS out. So if I had a little bit of Chandler's, under the Australian sun, not Chandler's Cottage, under the Australian sun laying around, then for this centre bit here, I would probably come through, if I can, and grab one of these areas with a waratah. So I had a waratah in here, and then I could build up around it with other reds, or I can swap to greens or golds to go with it if I really want it to match. If I was using multicoloured orientals, doesn't matter. The other thing about leaving your seams, and I can demo this another day if you like, but another thing about leaving your seams nice and straight, what am I trying to say? No partial seams, and leaving them bigger. It also means you've got the option, if you wanted to just come through and add a little pin tuck in between to give it a little bit more definition. So with the smaller ones like the one we've got in the calendar, Rob said too, he's printing more calendars this weekend. We keep saying that's it, and no, he's to do another lot. So we are still doing calendars till the end of the month, and he's doing another batch this weekend. But with the pin cushion, I've just done a little bit of chain stitch over the seams. But when you get to these bigger ones, you could, if you wanted to, just put in a really narrow little black or contrasting colour pin tuck. Just a little one, a little bit folded in half, or wedge it in that seam, and it will give your piece a lot more look and sophistication as well, if it's got that teeny little bit of 3D and pin tuck in it as well. You would only cut, I'm going to go out on a limb, 3/4 of an inch. So when you fold it in half, it's only 3/8, which means when you take in the 1/4 inch seam allowance, you literally have an 1/8 of that gorgeous little contrast colour showing through. worth doing a little bit just to trial it to see what you think. I think. Anyway, so this is a go. We could spend time doing that tonight, but I'm sure you're all over it. I really want to do one now. I really want to do it. Not right now. But look, in my stash, I've actually got a lot of taupes and a lot of wovens and antique linen doilies and things like that. They are all, they all look really good in stuff like this. If they need a little bit of stabilization, a little bit of woven weft on the back, just to give them a little bit more body, so everything's kind of got the same thickness and body to it before I start piecing, and it doesn't fray. Good fun. Good fun. I said to those that have got your calendar, and for those getting your calendar, there was a little email that went out, as I talked about the other day. Cass found a little bit of an error with the MailChimp send out, so everyone got theirs very quickly that didn't have it straight after that. And I did mention in there, if you want to have a look at some amazing crazy patchwork quilts, just Google Linda Steele quilter. So Steele is S-T-E-L-L. S-T-E-E-L-A. Linda's local, a lovely, lovely lady, and she's amazing crazy patchwork, award-winning crazy patchwork quilts that are very well known around the world, and she's got a great website. So if you feel like a little bit of a troll through the internet, have a look at Linda's work. She does incredible stuff. All right, I'm going to pop these babies that Rob's putting up out of the way. Don't think I need it, no. Well, I can't steal any of them now, can I? Because they're going up on the website. So I'll pop them down there. Oh, and that one. Okay. So these are the 3 packs of mums that I may or may not have acquired from the basket that came back. And I'm going to use these for this cushion. So this is just that great method. Oh, colour, look at that. That great method of creating little kind of like false cheetah cathedral windows, but it gives you a really nice sophisticated look and a really good tactile look to it as well. So you can use absolutely anything. If you've got, and it can be any size. I'm going to run to the one in the pattern, but you can do, what just happened then? Thank you. You can do any size you want. I'll run to the ones in the pattern. This is suggesting start with 5-inch squares, but once you've got it, you can do any size you want. Bigger, smaller. I did talk, didn't I, the other day about doing them with a zip. I want to get this done tonight. Steve's still collating and unpacking zips and everything, so we should be good to do that next week. I'm doing Wednesday evening next week, folks, because the weather's still looking really hot and this back room's not good, and I just want those extra, I want that extra day to get some extra stuff ready for you and get the zips finished and get the periwinkle happening. Okay, so the pattern that I'm doing tonight, you actually end up with 20 blocks. So it is 5 across for the width of a pillow insert and 4 down, and again you can do anything that you like. You can make it as big as you like. So we start with 40 squares. 20 of them get used as the flat bit that sits down on the surface, if you like, and then the other 20 we turn into half square triangles to use for those little cheetah cathedral window fold back curves. So with that in mind, I always say 42 really, because I wanted multiples of, no, that doesn't work, does it? 20. I want to use 3 different fabrics and it doesn't go into 40. So I'll probably do a few extra squares, and that's not a bad thing because we mix all the colours up and work out what goes really well with what. And with that in mind, it's quite nice to have a few extra ones for variety. So I'm just going to head in here and let's pull out a couple. I'm using these tonight, but if I had, you guys have all got good stashes of stuff. I don't have that anymore. I would be ripping into my Orientals. And I will, when I finish Steve's quilt, and probably Madame Butterfly, Steve's quilt definitely, I will make him one of these cushions with the leftovers from Be Mindful when I've finished his. And no, don't ask if I did any work on it this week, because you know the answer. Shh, shh. It's too hot. Look, see that? Oh, look at that. They're perfect. It's like I knew. Oh no, they're not quite the right size. So let's pull that. I'll pull that one out. Pop that one out there. Yes, Mr. Iron. Okay. So a couple of those just to get me started. So just keep that in mind. However many blocks you want to do, or how many squares you want to do, you need twice as many. Okay. So we're doing 20 squares for the cushion, and with that in mind, ooh, this is going to be hilarious. Look at that. With that in mind, you'll need 40 at least. Okay. So, as I said, 5 inches is where I have started, and once you get the hang of it, you can do whatever you like, any size you want. See how small you can go. I was going to go smaller for those to do. What? Okay, turn it on, Lise. Turn on the rotary cutter. I want to go smaller to do those little zip purses we talked about. Okay. Now, while we're talking about this, so ombre for this, oh my goodness. You could just use scraps that you've got of ombre, or you could really plan it out to get that shading happening. So there's 1, 5. Oh, that is 5. Okay. Next week, I'm going to go Wednesday evening to give me a bit more time, but weather-wise, I'm going to confess, this room is too hot. Is that a whole fat quarter in this remnants pack? Oh my goodness. That alone was worth buying a $10 remnants pack. Not that I did, but you get what I mean. Okay, so fold that way. And also, I mean, there's just something so lovely about randomly playing with fabric and doing little projects like this. And the pin cushions, they don't take up a lot of table space to sort and cut. And I think particularly, I know a lot of you over summer have grandkiddies around, and you sort of don't want to take up too much room. You want to be able to do a little bit, put it away, or even better, have them help you choose colours to do it with. So I suppose if you had leftover fabrics from the year of making quilts and things for them, it'd be really fun for them to help you mix and match the leftovers together to make them an extra cushion. You could get them quite involved in that, and they could be doing up the marking up for you as well. We're going to do. Put them to work. Okay, let's put this one. And remember, when you start doing all this little stuff and you have been working on big projects, you know, to finish quilts and things over Christmas, just watch yourself, okay? And when I say watch yourself, I could have easily, without even thinking about it tonight, if this ruler hadn't been sitting on this bench, I would have happily stood here and cut all of these squares with my great big 24-inch long ruler without even hesitating. So just remember to scale things down when you're doing small things. It's just so much easier on your arms and your shoulders, but so easily I would have done that. If you are happy to go a little bit smaller and you've got one of those great Creative Grids 4.5-inch rulers, the square ones, perfect. You could just use that to do all your squaring up, and really handy if you are, particularly if you're fussy cutting from the center of a piece of fabric. Okay, I'm nearly there. Nearly there. I just want to do this little bit of batik. So much fun just to, you know, throw the rules out the window, or say the guidelines out the window, and mix a whole heap of different fabrics together. So a little bit of batik going in with a little bit of Oriental, with a little bit of Australian. I have got, can you hear my croaky voice? You know, we back onto a big reserve here near the bay, and I've got spring hay fever throat because the acacias, the wattle trees, have all got really confused, and they're all in full spring flower out the back. It's weird, but I think what's happened is it's been so cold, and all of a sudden the weather's gone, and they've gone, oh, it's not winter anymore, it's spring. We've got full flowering, sneeze, wattles and stuff out the back. It's amazing. I would bring a bit in to show you next week if I didn't think I was going to go into a mass of sneezes. All right, let's have a look at these. So I've got a little bit of a mix going on here. So once you've got your 40 or however many you're going to do, your 40 squares to make your 20 blocks ready. Just show you this sort of stuff going on here. Once you've got some of this going on, you need to take half of them out, and that half that you're going to take out, did I end up with 10? The half that you're going to take out are, lay that one down, the ones that will stay flat on the block. So I actually don't have that much variety to mess with, so I'm going to pull those out. Now similarly, what you could do to get a more unified, sort of more disciplined look that looks like it's not a scrappy look, you've done it on purpose. For all of your flat squares, you could make them one colour. So either that, or you'll see as we go, the piece that's going to sit underneath that you fold back, you see a little curve, you'd make that a really strong, like a pointing at the denim, leaning up against the window, but the dark blue or a black, so that little bit fold that's going to stick over. You've got these little cute curves, all one colour. One of those I would definitely do all one as a plain or a strong contrast, and that's going to give you a more orderly look. Orderly, that's the word, orderly look to your cushion. Not full on scrappy, wow, that looks amazing cushion. If you want a more sort of classy look, then you'd keep one the same. So for this, I would have, for example, all of my fabric that are my squares that are going to sit flat, I would just have in, say, black flowering gum, and then go crazy with all the other ones that are on top. Or I would have a whole mix, and then I would just use black magic for the square that's going to sit at the back of the curve. I'll show you what I mean now. Alright, so we've got these 5 that we're going to set aside for now. Now with these, though, because of the piecing that's going to go on with these ones, I'm speaking very officially tonight, aren't I? I don't know why. Sorry, I get a bit carried away, a bit telly-selly, but these ones that we're going to keep, we need to trim these back. These are coming back to 4 5/8. We are going to have a real discussion about half square triangles and things very, very soon as part of our stash busting journey, and how just to know how much to add or detract when you're doing this stuff yourself. So I've worked it out tonight for you. These are coming back to 4 5/8. So trim that. So I need to trim 3/8 off. I know I should do them individually. I know, but it's a time thing. Okay, just put that there. I'm going to put that on there and just trim that off. There we go. So these now are at the size that are going to fit these once we're finished turning them into half square triangles. Right, so I'll pop those over there. Now these, I know you know how to do this. Let's choose. Oh, that didn't work. I've got 5. I actually need 10 to go on top. Oh my god, 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to do them all then. Let's put 2 together. What do you think? These 2? Is that a good contrast? Let's do these 2. I obviously need a lot more to do all of those, so I'll do these 2. Do you think? This one, that's good together. That'd be better with black. Yeah, we'll do that. And sorry, talk amongst yourselves for a tick. I'm still deciding. Oh no, these 2. Okay, so flip one of these over. I'll put this one up so you can see it. Classic 1/2 inch triangle, okay? We're going to go straight down the middle. Please remember when you're doing these, with my serious face on, please remember, no friction pen. You really, I want the line solid, because somewhere along here you're going to forget and you're going to iron. You're going to go, oh, there's a bit of a crease there, or I'll iron it now. I would definitely go chalk, or if you're really radical, off grid, no one's going to know, just a biro, just a pen, because the line that you're drawing is going to end up sitting right on the raw edge, so you can get away with it. Okay, I'm not going to, because the pen police will be after me, but I'm going to use one of my, actually I might go to the trio. I'll draw this on here. I'm just terrible, you know, I'll draw these on and I might walk away for a while and then come back and I'll go, oh, it's got a bit creased. See, this one's a bit creased, and I'll iron it and I'll lose that line. Now, this is the step that we use little people for. Or hubby sitting on the couch watching cricket. I don't know if Rob's up there. No, he's not watching Big Bash yet because he's putting remnants up for me. But if there's someone idle sitting on a couch, hand them a hardcover book, a sandpaper board if you've got it, and put them to work. You're too busy doing other things in the sewing room or in the kitchen or in the garden. So if they're sitting there, put them to work. But little people love doing this, and it's really good motor skills for them to match up the corners. Okay, that's done. I'm going to pop a couple of pins in because I'm going to be good tonight. So crossways across here, so it doesn't slip and slide that way. So just a couple, because even though these are lovely and square and it's a straight line, we are sewing on the diagonal where there is movement in the grain of the fabric. And particularly, again, if you decide to use up some gorgeous little treasured bits of silk or something, then you are going to want to have good pinning. And again, we'll give you stabilised with silks for this because we're folding back. Keep it really thin, maybe a bit of interfacing. Alright, so they're on there, and we'll head over to the machine. Now, news update on the lighting on the machine. I have managed to improve it a fair bit today, I think. You know what I did? I just turned down the lights on the machine. Silly me, because the camera was compensating for how bright they were. How brilliantly bright. Now, in terms of thread as well, I'll talk to you about that in a minute. You're going to think, what on earth am I going to use? Because you've got lots and lots of different colours going on. I'm actually using one of my variegateds because I figure if the fabrics are all different colours, we might as well just use up a variegated thread. So I found one that I thought was pretty good. And then I found we had a good stash of another one. I'll show you in a minute. So I popped it on special on the website. I know we had the King Tuts on special the other week, but I obviously double ordered again. But the one that I've put on special is a great what I call blender. It's a variegated, but I like to call them blenders. Okay. Alright, now sorry, I'm not telling you what I'm doing. I wanted to show you. See how can you see that? That's a variegated down there. So when, I'm going to come back and do this properly. But when you turn, I don't think you can, when you turn it over, the variegateds actually blend really well in. That little exercise did nothing for you. But variegated threads are awesome to use for this sort of thing. So if you're doing lots of blues and purples together, get a blue-purple variegated. If you're doing all the autumn colours, and get one that's sort of got blacks and oranges and reds and things in. You can't see it, can you? Sorry, my bad. Alright, now to do these properly, I'll switch to this one. To do these properly, what we need to do is line up the edge of our 1/4 inch foot, and you will, if you don't have a 1/4 inch foot, please mark up a 1/4 inch either side of this center line that you have drawn, because you're going to sew a 1/4 inch down each side. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a reverse because I don't have my securing stitch on. If you are happy to run over your pins because they're sitting crossways, you can. Can you hear that little bit of a clunk? I don't know if you can hear it. There's a little bit of a clunk tonight, and I think my baby needs an oil. So you can see that's set to do a full finishing stitch there. And then I'll whiz around the other side, and we're going to do the same down the other side. This is just classic 1/2 inch triangles. That's what we're doing. And sewing while I'm sewing, turn that back on. The difference is we're going to fold them. So if you haven't worked out now as well, you're watching tonight while I try the pattern. Before I put it up on the website and before I put it up on A Quilter's Life. There we go. It's down each side. Let me just do this one for you. I shoved that in front of the lens. I don't even know if you could see it. Let me just whiz down this one. Baninas are very thirsty machines. They are a finely tuned machine, and because of the way they work, they do love oil. You can over oil them, of course, but they do like being cleaned and oiled because they're precision, digital precision. But also in the summer with your machines, literally in the heat, they will dry out. Just like us, we dry out in the heat, so do the machines. So just keep that in mind, particularly if you've had your machine in a hot room. Make sure you don't get direct light on your machine. The main thing about direct light on the machine over time, and we've seen it, going back into my ex-Banina dealership mode, we've seen it a lot with Banina 440 Auroras that first came out about 18 years ago, and I own one. One thing that happened with them over time, people like moi, who kept them near a window with a heating vent at my feet, which I thought was great at the time, over time the plastic became very brittle because it was getting too hot all the time like plastic does. So the cases started to crack. Now we don't see that, we haven't seen it on any of the new machines, but maybe in 20 years we will. So just keep that in mind, particularly in summer now. Make sure your machine's not sitting in a hot window. One, they'll dry out, and two, it's just not good for the machine. So just put that blind down. If you're not going to be sewing in the heat near a window, so the machine doesn't want to either. So just keep them in the shade, and just check on that oil, because I do think they will. They do, well I know they do, they dry out quicker in the hot weather. Alright, even if they're sitting still not being used. Okay, so that line that you originally drew, I'm going to chop down the middle. Where's the other one? This one. I've skipped a step. Sorry, my darlings. I skipped a step. Give that seam a good set first. Sorry. I can see the little bit of a wonk and I forgot. It's just so much better to set it before you cut it. I'll just go up and down on these other two. And if you're a little bit worried about the tension on your machine and you've fiddled and it's a little bit tight, just loosen off a bit, and keep those stitches a little bit bigger, so about a 3, and then that'll just make life a lot easier to get a nice flat block. Okay. Don't you love this bit? Ta-da! I love it. I just love it. Alright, I put the ironing board a ways beyond me. Let's pull this back. So to get these ready to go on, oh yeah, it does fit. Woohoo! Okay, to get these ready, we've pressed that seam and we've set it, but I don't want these seams to open up. So what I want you to do is decide which half is going to sit on the top and which half is going to sit on the bottom. Now for me, I don't even remember now. Do you remember? I don't remember. Yes, Petra, absolutely correct. Do not use Mr. Sheen. And none none of the natural citric based cleaners either. They will take all the markings off the machine because they are acid, they're citric acid, and that's what's cutting through the grease and grime in your kitchen. But like that, friend Nadine Royal was the big supporter of all natural cleaners. I remember when they first came out, and she lost all of the markings on all of the knobs and the handles on her oven and on her fridge and everything because they all came off. So yeah, keep anything full on. Your machine should only ever need just a warm wipe or a nice wipe down, nothing major. If you've got any gunk on it and you really want to get it off, ring your mechanic or your dealer and check what the mechanic uses. I know Tim used to use one of the cleaning wipes, but I know it was one that he knew wouldn't damage the machine. So just always, yeah, check with someone first before you hit it with a cleaner. All right, so I've decided I want to use this one on the top, or this one on the top. No, I've changed my mind again. This one on the top because it's a bigger print. So with that, I'm going to, see what I mean? You're going to get this little bump here, this little bit of a bump. So if I want this on the top, I just want to make sure that it sits really nice. Maybe if we do the one underneath. Yeah, I think so. So I'm always going to push up the same way. So the one that's going to sit underneath, I'm going to have on the top, and I'm going to push it up and away from myself so that when I go and fold it in half, all of my little folds are sort of going to have the same accent of bump. Now I can see with this works really well because I can just get it to sit a little bit, just a little bit below the green one underneath. Now I've got the steam off. Let me just, I'm going to stick my steam on a bit. A bit of press. Okay. Then this is going to sit like that on top. I'm going to tack this and trim those off. So that bit's going to come off there because it's just going to get in the way on my machine, and that's going to come off there. Now I love to tack these, and you really need to, because when we come to put them together block to block, you're going to have lots of layers. And in the pattern I've actually suggested that you switch over to your walking foot when you get to this bit. So let's just pop these around here. And I want to run this with 1/8 of a seam, or at least less than 1/4, because it really is a tacking stitch. It's not going to be a full-on stitch that's a 1/4 inch seam. So we'll go back to the machine, and I've got my 1/4 inch foot on. In a better world, in a perfect world, I would have my number 20 sitting here so that I could move my whole needle position across and just still sit the edge of my foot on the edge of the fabric, but I don't. So I'm just going to move my this is a 37 on the Bernina, 37 across, and just line up. There's another little notch if you've got one. Diane, I'm thinking of you. Just another little notch over here on here. So I've got the open bit there, and there's a little bit that comes out before the little fork on the end. So I'm going to sit to the edge of my fabric just there, and that way I know that I'm well within the 1/4 inch. The other thing too with the higher end Berninas, if you tell the machine which foot you've got on, you can actually move your needle position across, but it won't let you go the full distance because it knows you're going to hit the foot. So just keep that in mind as well. It's very, very good in that respect. Okay, so I'm just going to sew that there. Oh, bigger stitch. We don't need a little stitch. This is a tack, so I'm going to up that to just over 3, sorry. And we'll run this down here. If you are on a 9-inch feed dogs, if you're dual feed 9-inch, make sure you've got your dual feed on. And also, you might want to also switch over to your straight stitch plate and move your foot across, or you'll want to go to at least the 5.5 width plate to put on your machine, so you've got less of a hole for the needle to go through when you're going through all these thicknesses, and it won't mess with your tension or pull the fabric down into the slot, into your super big slot. Alright, so look, it's a simple thing, but you know, sometimes along the way it's just it's nice to share with you all the errors I've made in the past and turn them into good advice. Right, so you can see now what's going to happen. We're going to get this pulling back here. So we'll head back across to the ironing board. Oh, I've got a really nice breeze coming in through the window now. Probably a plethora of mosquitoes as well, but definitely very nice. Alright, so then from here, you're going to have again a few options available to you. So this, look at that. If you're wondering how much to pull it back by, you don't really have a choice. It doesn't go far. It's not like you can pull all the way back here. It will just sit. When your block is sitting flat, it will just do that, and it will sit really nicely. So you can choose what you want to do from here. You might decide that you would like to sit at a leisurely pace and slip stitch your curve back, or you might like to whiz along and do it in 5 seconds flat on the sewing machine. If you do it on the sewing machine, then you've got a couple of other options. You could do it in monopoly in a clear thread so that you can't see it, and you could top stitch it or use a blind hemming stitch or a zigzag or a blanket stitch. It doesn't really matter. Whatever works best for you, and it's going to be clear, so you're not going to see much of it. If you decide to do it in a coloured thread, then you can choose to do a contrast, or you can do one that actually matches this fabric here that's showing on the top. For me, you know, I don't have a phobia about metallic threads. We've been through it before. There is a recipe to sewing really nicely and successfully with metallic. For me, in these particular fabrics, I'd think about doing a soft gold, because then it's going to match all of the fabrics because they've all got metallic gold in them. Okay, so that's number one. Now, I really just want to do this other one because I'm going to show you what they look like side by side. You do look, in terms of whether to do this curve before or after you sew them all together, the jury is out, except that when you can, the only thing is if you decide to do them after, you've got to remember that you won't have as much turn back. So, you know, you're going to have less turn back because otherwise this will go into the seam. Let's just see if I pin that edge there, so I've got a 1/4 inch secured, and then I pull back, you can see that's going to give you a smooth uninterrupted curve if you do that and stop at that 1/4 inch. Or, good evening Anne-Marie, or, because I've just seen Anne-Marie's watching, or if you're happy for it to go all the way back, then some of that curve's going to go into your 1/4 inch. I think I might just check the instructions. I think I'm going to leave that 1/4 inch because then all of the blocks sitting together are going to sit much better, aren't they? They are. Okay. Let's leave that one there. We'll quickly do, so that's another combo of that same red and green, and with that one I can go back and sit that over a different block again, so you can have lots and lots of different combinations to have fun with, get the kids involved and have a little bit of a play. Now this is the other one, so just want to iron this. I want my black underneath, so I'm going to pop it on top there. It doesn't really matter, but I want them all to look the same. Hold that over there. So as I said, when you can imagine, once you've got all these together, you'll want your walking foot, and you'll really want to be working with, I think, with wonder clips rather than pins to hold them all in place. We've also got those super cool, long, super fine piecing pins from Clover. If you've got those, they're worth, I reckon they'd be worth a whirl. That is not that block. Scared myself, I haven't trimmed that one down. Okay, here we go. There he is. So that's going to go on there, and this time we're going to have the black come back. So I just want to do this one quickly with you so we can see how they sit and butt up against each other. Right. So same deal, we'll just whiz around here. So Anne-Marie, your machine, I would run your I'd run your 97D, or I'd run your 20D. I don't know who else is watching that's got a 9mm banana. Run your 20D and move your needle across when you're doing this. I've just had a thought. If you are a little bit of a creative person and you do little quilts that may have had teddy bear applique pieces or something in it, you see what I mean? If we had put a teddy on point on that block, our little teddy would now be in his little blanket. So you could have little flowers or a little teddy bear popping up from under there. That'd be cool. You only need his top half. Okay, line that down, and that's going to be our next block. So if we just have a look at these together, they would sit like that, or they could sit like that, or they could sit like that. Probably wouldn't, because I've got two colors. All right, so you need to make lots and lots of them so you get different combinations. But you can see what's going to happen here. I'm going to have 3 thicknesses from this block here sit against one here. So this is where you sort of want to start heading into using pegs and your walking foot, because I'm going to have those together there and then fold them back. Now, the other thing, when I set mine up, like the one in the picture, I'm going to have all of my curves all sitting the same way, okay? But you don't have to, so you can get a little bit creative and sort of have this going on, like a little sub-block thing going on, and you'd have 2 other ones on this side, doing that sort of thing, which is really cool. You can also then continue it this way, so that you get little pinwheels happening in between. And if you're not keen on having them all together, if you're like me and you get them all made up and you've got too many that are similar, the simple solution to that is just to find a neutral colour and run a sashing in between them. No crime in that at all. With these, I would just probably run Shadow Play W2 would be a good option, which is just an off-white. I could run thinking about it, 001211, so my flowering gum in the ivory gold, just a neutral gold all the way through, or we could run Black Magic or black down through the middle with these. So lots of possibilities to sash them. Then again, be a super stash buster, and different fabric here, different fabric here, a little scrappy bit left over here for the little intersection cross square in here, another fabric here. So then you'd use the rest of your bits that are left up as the bits in between. Lots and lots of different contrast and colour and stuff going in. This is the complete opposite to what I usually do. So this is random stuff, putting it all together. I think one of the most important things that I did learn when I've done scrappy quilts or big ones, yes, Felicity Bonner, very good idea. Advent pockets on point, chockies, very good idea. The one thing that I've learnt doing scrappy quilts over the years when I have done them, or quilts that have got multiple fabrics in them and I'm repeating the same block, was that big castle ceiling quilt of mine, a few like that, dilution factor. The more fabrics that you throw in, the easier it actually gets, because you've got more variety there to play with. So just keep that in mind. If you're finding it all too hard, just keep throwing more fabrics in there to use, and you'll be fine. Did I have anything else I had to tell you? I don't think so. I don't think so. So I hope that, I hope that gives you a few ideas of what to do with to get started with your stash. And I suppose what I've done is I've started with the small things in your stash. So you only need 5-inch squares to start these, and you could go even smaller if you wanted to. I'd probably go down to about a 4 instead of a 5 to start, and then you'll be trimming back to 3 5/8 instead of 4 5/8. Just knock an inch off everything. Just start thinking about using up all those little bits first. I think it's easier sometimes to use the smaller pieces that are left. So the little tiny pieces are going to go into your own designed crazy patchwork pin cushion, or if you're going to grab, or you've got one of our calendars, you've got our crazy patchwork pin cushion pattern as well. So little bits. To me, sometimes it's easier to start with the small stuff than look at the bigger bits sitting in the stash. Just throwing it out there as well. Doesn't have to be a cushion. So this is the pattern. If you have a look on our website, the Melba Tote, that's a free download. So if you grab that as well, you've got this pattern. This is done in Summer Palace, but it's the same pattern as the ones that are on the website. So have a look at the size of the panels. That's 14 finished. Alright, so give me a minute. So you could go 3 or 4 rows of this block high. Very funky bag. You could go, say, three or 4 rows high, probably the same as the pattern, and then bring it round to the sides. What you actually might want to do is do as many as you can till the dimensions don't fit in the width that you need anymore, and then just put a strip of a scrap down the side to make out the width. But these would be awesome. Even Felicity, while I'm talking to you, because Flip makes baskets, that beautiful bags she sells at markets and things, even to have a larger piece that you've got in your stash. So just say, for example, you've got a big chunk of this, and then just randomly in the middle of that panel set yourself in a row of these, using up little scraps and stuff. Strip sew what's left over for the lining, sew it all in long lines and use it up that way, and create a really beautiful one-of-a-kind bag. So start looking, for projects that you can use as a blank canvas to put your scrappy stuff on. Oh, and if you've got our little fabric flower pot pattern as well, same deal. All your strips are going in these. That's a download on the website too. So have a think about that. If you're in a quilter's life, have a think about this being used to use your scraps up separately as a panel on a cushion or something as well. They don't have to go into Madame Butterfly. Think about which bits as you do this that perhaps you want to set aside. Again, if you're in the club, to do the Oriental Baltimore blocks when you get to them as well. So just lots of opportunities to use stuff up. I did note that we've got a few. Hello, Hazel. Hi, Yolanda. I did notice that we've got a few new people here tonight. Welcome, Gidget. Good to see you. So I will just show you this, because I'm banging on about the club again, which I do, and then I don't. If there's people watching, I get these lovely emails later. What on earth were you talking about? So this is our club. It's $10 a month, and you get a lot of patterns in there. In a Healthy Quilter this week, you've got. So you just go to. Oh, I'm pointing at the screen. How stupid is that? Go to aquilterslife.podia.com and you can sign up in there. So there's irises, Baltimores. Now this week in a Healthy Quilter, you've got raspberry souffles. I know what you're going to say. No. These ones you make and you stick them in the freezer. And then when you want to stick them in the oven, you take them straight from the freezer and you put them in the oven, and 20 minutes later you have a risen hot raspberry souffle. At the moment though, it's so hot, we're just eating them straight from the freezer uncooked. and they're really yummy, and they're light, and they're about 120 calories, and they're guilt-free, high protein. So that's in there this week as well. I'm popping up on Monday. I'm making another batch this weekend. My mum and my mango chutney recipe. So if you don't have a good one of those, mangoes are a glut at the moment. So that's going up as well, with a recipe to use with pork fillet. So all of that's happening, and then there's some naughty things to go up in the cooking section as well coming up. So lots to do, but I'm feeling the karma because we have printed the envelopes and I've designed the project for December 1 of the Advent. Yes, and so while you're all working on your January calendars as well, I'll also be working on a demo to pop up for next month if you've got the calendar. So next month you'll actually get a link to a little YouTube video just for you for demonstrations on the Melba satchel with the zip component and things also. Okay, so hey, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been fun. I'm fired up now. I'm going looking for more remnants. I don't want to use, I better use these ones up of Mum. So I'm going to find a little basket to put them in, and we'll come back and use them again at our next Stash Bust show. But in the meantime as well, if you're not in a quilter's life, you'll see stuff from me there. I'll see you next Wednesday. There'll be a newsletter out early next week covering off what you and I have already talked about tonight, and stuff, more stuff about the soiree as well. And if I don't see it before, I'll see you next Wednesday evening. So we'll do another one in the evening to avoid the heat of the day. If you're in the UK and you watch Natasha as well, I am going to clash with Jane. Just watch one of us and then watch the other one on Facebook or YouTube later. But yeah, it's too hot, Donna. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Did I miss comments? We're all good. Thank you. We're all good. Okay, we're all good. All right. Thanks again, and I will see you Wednesday. Bye.